to Plot Thick. I am Naive. In this episode, I am reviewing Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is a slasher film, okay? So you have to suspend common sense. You're going to get plot holes. You're going to get overacting from the actors. You're going to laugh when you shouldn't. You're going to experience issues with scene editing. You're going to be able to pinpoint continuity issues. All that said, again, it is a slasher film. I'm not the biggest fan of the TCM universe. None of these were scary to me after the first one in 1974. But here we are with 10 iterations from 1974 to 2022. This film is available now on Netflix. It dropped a few weeks ago. Okay, so the screenwriter is David Blue Garcia, and the producer is Fidi Alvarez, who wrote and directed Don't Breathe. This film stars Jacob Latimore from The Chi. Later this year, he'll be in the sequel to House Party. He stars as Dante. Elsie Fisher, the cute girl from 8th grade, stars as Lila, and her big sister in this film is played by Sarah Yarkin, who plays Melody. She was most recently in Happy Death Day to You, American Horror Story. Mark Burnham plays Leatherface. Now, I googled to see if he was kin to Bo Burnham, and he is not. So, Lila, Melody, Dante, and their friend Ruth take their Maserati from Austin to Harlow, Texas, to prepare to auction off some property that they seemingly purchased, and that is still owned by the bank in this bankrupt town. This section of Harlow is basically secluded and abandoned, really. On their way during this road trip, they stop at a convenience store, and Lila is paying for various items and snacks and so forth, and the convenience owner kind of scares her. He lets her know that people in this town knew they were coming and knew why they're coming, and she notices on the TV screen that there has been this, in a news report, that there has been this woman named Sally who has been hunting down this killer, this serial killer, for decades, and was unable to find him. And she says, well, why couldn't they find this maniac? And he says, well, he wears a mask. So that's why it's hard to, find someone when you don't know how they look. Meanwhile, they hop in the Maserati. Upon arrival, they meet this sketchy mechanic named Richter. His shop is basically the only business left standing. Dante spots a rebel flag on the top of this old rickety orphanage, so of course he's offended and attempts to remove it through a window upstairs. He just goes in there and tries to remove it. They thought this orphanage was abandoned, but an old lady and a deranged man have been squatting there. Dante demands she vacate the premises at once, claiming that this orphanage is now owned by the bank. The old lady denies this, claiming that it's paid up, that she's paid the bank, and she still owns this property. Well, the cops were called, and they attempt to haul off this old lady and this deranged man who's living in this orphanage. But right before She leaves the orphanage, leaves out the door, she vomits, and so they contend that she needs medical attention. So they want to haul her off to the hospital. Ruth, because again, it's a slasher film, Ruth agrees to ride with the old lady to the hospital so that she won't be alone. But as an audience member, you know the old lady is not alone. She's with the deranged man who she was living with in the orphanage. But hey, it's a slasher film. But okay. Meanwhile, Mechanic Richter gets the rebel flag off the building and punches it in the chest of Dante. What's he pissed about? So, meanwhile, the investors or gentrifiers that Dante had been waiting for arrive, and so he goes to entertain them so that they're not distracted by what's going on with these squatters. Now, on the way to the hospital, the old lady begins convulsing. This sends this deranged man into a vengeful rage. Now he wants to kill everyone as the old lady flatlines in his arms. So he cracks the wrist of one of the sheriffs and kills the driver. And the driver crashes into the middle of these. I guess it's like it's some kind of field with stalk. Ruth pretends to be dead. Meanwhile, back at the properties, the auction is commencing, or is underway. Lila wanders into the shop with Richter, who shows her how to handle a gun. She tells him she's been shot at before, but she has never shot a gun. And then she starts reminiscing back to the time when she survived a school shooting and was shot at. Meanwhile, her sister Melody checks her phone and sees a text from Ruth. Her sister Melody checks her phone and sees a text from Ruth telling her that the old lady has died. Now, the text didn't mention that this maniac, deranged man is on a killing spree. That's important information. But Melody informs Dante that she's leaving because this whole town is creeping her out. Back at the broken down police van, though, the cops are dead. Ruth's watching in the side mirror at the deranged man as he peels the face off of the old lady and puts it on his own. Now he's Leatherface. Ruth pretends to be dead until he's out of sight so she can escape. The police van is the most intense scene of the film, and that's like 20 minutes in. Back at the auction site, Richter confiscates the keys, claiming they are responsible for killing the old lady. How does he know, you ask? Ruth didn't have his number. And the van is in the middle of nowhere. Now, Ruth does use the police scanner to SOS for help, but she can only whisper it so that Leatherface doesn't see she's still alive. Now, the convenience owner who Lila met earlier hears the SOS in the police scanner. Does he send help to her? No, it's a slasher film. Suspend common sense. He apparently calls Richter and someone else. but not help. What are you gonna do? Dante tells Richter that that old lady was trespassing on bank property. She had no right to be there. So Richter says, okay, I'll give you the keys back when you produce a deed proving that you own the orphanage, or that the bank owns the orphanage. And Dante starts hunting and rifling through his records trying to find these documents, and then he doesn't. So he thinks that maybe he left them back at the office in Austin. Then Sally is officially introduced. Sally is the one who has been hunting for Leatherface for decades. She's the one that got away, and she knows a lot of people that he had killed. Now we catch her in the middle of a barn gutting a pig with her bare hands. Just as the call comes in, she's alerted that Leatherface must be alive and active again. So Dante goes into the orphanage to see if he can find bank documents to prove the bank repossessed the orphanage. Maybe he's looking for past due documents and so forth. And Lila is upstairs rifling through papers too to see if she can find any documents. And she ends up finding documents that prove that the old lady is paid up. Now she feels guilty. She feels responsible and to blame for the old lady's death. Had they not burst into this orphanage and evicted her, then maybe she wouldn't have died. Lila hears pots clanking downstairs, and she hears steps creaking. She pops her head out of the bedroom to see what's up. She sees Leatherface sneaking up on Dante and gutting him like a fish. She flees to the closet, hoping not to be found. Leatherface darts upstairs and doesn't find Lila. Then it starts raining. Because of course, it's gotta rain. It's a slasher film. What are you gonna do? Leatherface finds a sledgehammer and busts through the walls looking for something. Frightened out of her mind, hides under the bed. Dante picks himself up. We thought he was dead. He has enough strength to hit it outside to the bus to let somebody, anybody, everybody know that a maniac is on the loose. Now, the people on the bus, these investors, they're unaware of what's going on. They're partying and boozing, none the wiser. Richter sees Dante sliced in the face, but Dante dies before he can say what happened to him. Richter tells the girl from the bank to stay on the bus. You think to yourself, why didn't he just give them the keys to the bus so that they can get out of town? It's a slasher film, that's why. Everybody must be slashed before the end credits. Back at the house, Leatherface finally gets into this wall and finds what he's been hunting for, a chainsaw. 35 minutes into the movie, and he finally has a chainsaw in his hand. Richter tries to creep up on Leatherface, but he's too slow. Leatherface rips through his whole body. Richter, within an inch of his life, sees Lila creeped out, hiding under the bed, and tries to give her the keys to the bus. But Leatherface shreds the rest of him. Sally's been heading to Harlow, Texas in her SUV. While on her drive, she finds the police van and the corpses. Sally sees the old lady, defaced, hanging from a stalk like a scarecrow. She already knows what she's dealing with. Back on the bus, the door is closed. It's still raining, and Lila wants off the bus so she can find her sister Melody. The banker girl begs Lila not to get off the bus, but she does anyway. Lila happens upon Dante's dead body. Melody's still under the bed in the orphanage trying to figure out how to escape. She grabs the keys from Richter's dead hands and quietly makes her way downstairs, but Leatherface catches her, creeping, and clobbers her with the sledgehammer. She's hit so hard, her body is pummeled through the floorboards down to the basement, because that could happen. Leatherface grabs his chainsaw and starts sawing through the floorboards, mapping to find her body. The chainsaw doesn't reach her, and in the nick of time, Lila pulls her out from the basement crawl space window. They make a run for the bus, give the keys to the driver, who happens to already be sitting behind the wheel. They demand that he drive, but doesn't tell him or anyone else on the bus that there's a maniac on the loose. Never mind the blood. Nobody questions that. The passengers just continue to party as the bus pulls off. But the driver hears something and he stops the bus because it's a slasher film. Next thing you know, Leatherface tosses the driver's severed head onto the bus. The passengers are still unaware. They don't see anything. They don't know what the heck is going on. Leatherface gets on the bus with the chainsaw, and what do these investors do? They pull out their smartphones and go live, claiming they're going to get him canceled. I mean, you talk about clueless. I guess they don't notice the severed head that's at the front of the bus. Okay? Leatherface gets to chainsawing everyone on board, slicing shoulders, necks, legs, torsos, everything, tossing them aside like tree branches. The scene is bloody and gory, but it's incidentally funny. Okay. Lila and Melody watch in horror and then decide to hide in the bus bathroom. Of course, there's an escape route for them. Skylight exit in the bathroom overhead. Because why not? They gotta get out, right? The film's not over. It's a slasher film. As they attempt to escape, Leatherface commences to slice and dice the door. They escape just in time to see old Sally pulling up in her SUV, the rescue vehicle. They beg her to flee, but she won't. She demands they stay till she kills him. She traps them in her SUV as they cry, plead, beg for her to leave so that they can live. Sally takes her shotgun, heads into the orphanage like she knows where she's going. If she knew that he was here the entire time, she didn't come for decades. She didn't know how he looked because remember, how do you know who to look for when he's wearing a mask? But somehow, Sally knows to go in this orphanage and to go upstairs to this particular room to find Leatherface. So she heads straight to the bedroom upstairs. She knows the exact one, as I said, sees the chainsaw at the foot of the bed and aims straight at Leatherface's mug. But does she pull the trigger? She names all the people Leatherface killed. Then she tells him to say her name. Because he tried to kill her and she got away. But he picks up the chainsaw. He ignores her and he picks up the chainsaw and he leaves the bedroom. Why won't he kill her? Shoot him! Shoot him, Sal. You're holding a shotgun. You have him where you want him. You have decided to kill him. Why haven't you pulled the trigger yet? Why won't she peel his wig back? She lets him exit the house. And where does he go? He heads straight to her van and attempts to saw through Lila and Melody. He reaches Melody's legs for a beat, but he doesn't sew it off. Oh no. But Sally, just in time, Sally shoots Leatherface in the back of his shoulder. But he ain't dead. No. He runs. Sally throws the keys to the girls and tells them to hit the road. I guess they're too stunned to leave. because they're sitting there watching. Why aren't they leaving? They just pleaded 5 minutes ago to leave. They were crying. Sally chases Leatherface with the gun. He stops running and takes the chainsaw straight to her gut. She can't even get a shot off. He guts her so bad, her lame body is tossed 5 yards away. The girls are still there in the van watching. Why though? Why are you still here? Then Melody drives Sally's SUV straight towards Leatherface. He throws his chainsaw at the SUV. Melody drives straight towards him, but only grazes his torso. They crash into Richter's shed. It doesn't blow. Oh no. Because that's expensive to shoot. This is a slasher film. Melody tells Lila to run. She will be the bait. She will sacrifice her life for Lila, for her little sister who survived a school shooting, right? Lila runs, but she returns with Richter's gun. After all, he taught her how to hold it, how to aim it, and how to shoot it. Now it's go time. She pulls the trigger, but click, the firing pin malfunctions, because of course. Leatherface is really pissed now. Lila runs. Leatherface hunts her down. Just as he's about to slice her open, because, yeah, there was plenty of time for him to get his chainsaw back. Sally musters enough strength, even with a gutted body, to shoot him in the shoulder again. Why is she such a lousy shot? She owns guns. She can gut a hog with her bare hands. But she can't shoot. She shoots again. He runs into this abandoned movie theater. Sally tells Lila, this is the message of the movie. She tells Lila, don't run. If you run, he'll continue to haunt you. Okay? Lila goes after him in the theater. It's dark. It's flooded. Covered in water. Where are the cops in this town? People on the bus went live, so this has got to be all over social media. By now, there's plenty of time for the FBI to even get there. Or Texas Bureau of Investigation. Nobody's coming to rescue these people? Like, nobody? No vigilantes? Like, no police, firemen, paramedics? Nobody's coming? Anywho, Leatherface catches Lila off guard and they tussle for a beat. She thinks back to, because there's time to think back to that school shooting. She's wishing she would have mustered up the courage then to fight back. Melody busts in and mounts Leatherface's back. Lila's gotta do something now. She snaps out of it and grabs the gun. She gets a couple of shots off, but the gun jams again. Yeah, because of course. Melody hops up, grabs the chainsaw, and swipes his face with it real good. He falls into a big pool of flood water. Is he really dead? Lila and Melody embrace, thankful they survived the night. Glad that they killed Leatherface. He won't haunt them anymore. By daybreak, they hop into that old Maserati that's reappeared. It's there now, and they've always had the key. It's a miracle. Wait, they literally had the keys the whole time. So they punch in the address in the navigation and put it on autopilot so that they can hit it back to Austin. But Leatherface, out of nowhere, not even wet from the floody water, cut through the passenger window, yanking Melody out, charring through her neck with the chainsaw, posting it up like a trophy while Lila watches in horror from the Maserati. And then the Maserati eases away on autopilot as she screams, "No!" And then fade out. Now listen, no. No. Mm-mm. No, ma'am. Not even a slasher film. Nope. No. Child. Listen. Anyway, if you stuck around this long, thank you so much. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I plan to upload reviews at least twice a week. Until next time.